What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to show you how to flip a house from start to finish. Many new investors come to me wondering what the house flipping process is, and today I'm going to break down the whole process into 8 key steps, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it for each of my flips. If this is your first time watching my video, my name is Elisa and I'm a house flipper in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been flipping houses for 3.5 years now, and I want to teach more people to get into the house flipping business and take control of their lives. Before we get started, I want to point out that the steps I'm going to show you today are not necessarily in this order, and for some of the steps, you can feel free to switch them around and it's not going to be a big deal. The first step is financing. You want to have the funds ready to purchase a fixer-upper. You don't necessarily have to have the funds available before starting to look for deals because, as I've mentioned in my previous videos before, funding is not the hardest part of this business. When you have a great deal, so many people would be willing to lend money to you, partner with you, so not having the funds available should not prevent you from doing deals. Having said that, when you are new in this business and trying to get in contract to purchase a property, and if you don't have the financing lined up, you might get stressed out, which I completely understand. And if you have the financing ready to go, it will help you release a lot of that stress. If that's how you feel, you probably should look into the financing options beforehand. There are so many different ways to secure financing for your fixer-upper deal, and I'm going to show you a few options here. Of course, you can purchase the house with your savings, but when you are starting out, you probably don't have a lot of funds available yourself. That's why you want to look into any credits that are available to you, like a credit card, a home equity line of credit, or a personal line of credit. And then you can go to your friends and family and see if anybody wants to invest with you or lend money to you. If you have a good W-2 income, a conventional mortgage is probably a good option. Interest rates are so low right now, you can probably get a 30-year fixed mortgage at 3% or less interest, which would be a great option. If you don't have a good W-2 income, a hard money loan is the most common way to finance a house flip. Hard money interests are a lot higher than a conventional mortgage, but I love using it to fund my flips because the process is so much simpler and they can fund as quickly as 1 week. If you want to learn more about hard money loans, check out this video. To a beginner, funding from an equity partner or a private money lender might seem hard to obtain, but it might be easier than you think. But if you are determined to make it work, check out this video where I show you how I was able to fund 3 of my flips through this source of funding when I was starting out. When you are starting out, the financing step might seem a little confusing to you. Check out this video where I break down the entire house flipping process and show you each step that requires money. The second step is to find deals. This is probably the most important and difficult step in the whole process because good deals are like needles in a haystack, so hard to come by. There are many different ways to find deals. You can send out mailers or cold call homeowners. You can post online ads or do SEO, search engine optimization, or you can get deals from wholesalers or even from MLS, the multiple listing service. I get all of my deals from real estate agents, and you can check out this video to see how I build my agent network to find deals that are off market at a discounted price. The third step is analyze the deal. This step can be a little tricky because when 2 people analyze the same deal, they can come up with completely different numbers based on the comparable sales that they use or their confidence in the local market or the details that they pay attention to. There are so many variables go into the deal analysis, so it took me a long time to master it. When you are starting out, you really need to pay attention to this step because it directly impacts your bottom line. There are 3 numbers that are key in deal analysis. The first one is after repair value, the ARV. You want to make sure that you are looking at the most relevant and recent comparable sales so you don't overestimate it. The second key number in deal analysis is the rehab cost. When you are starting out without any experience, it's best to get a few contractor bids to determine the rehab cost. It's very important to not underestimate the rehab cost and have enough budget for unexpected costs, especially when you are working with a contractor for the very first time. The third key number is your desired profit. When you are starting out, you don't want to operate on too thin of a profit margin because you never know when the next pandemic or market shift is going to happen. The deal analysis step is like your screening process for all the deals that come through your deal funnel. Your deal funnel may look something like this. You contact 100 agents, get 20 leads, and make 10 offers, and finally get one deal. So it definitely takes a lot of hard work to find one great deal. This is the analyzer that I use to analyze deals. If you want to learn how to use it, check out this video. The next step after you find a great deal is to make an offer. Before you make an offer on the house, you want to fully understand the seller's situation. Why are they selling? What conveniences you can provide to them. For example, if the seller inherited the house, they probably need help with all the personal items that's left in the house, and they may want a quick close so they can get cash quickly. Once you understand the seller's situation, you can draft an offer that meets the seller's needs, and that can help you secure the deal. You want to make an offer that's fair, not too low or too high, because too low of an offer can blow your chance with the seller, and too high of an offer can cut into your profit and increase the risk. And don't forget to submit your offer with a proof of funds and company documents if you are purchasing it under a company name. The next step is purchase. With all the prep work you've done, this step is pretty straightforward. During the purchase process, you want to keep in touch with your lender frequently to make sure that they have everything they need to close a deal on time. To me, it's very important to close a deal on time because when you make an offer to the seller, you are making a commitment to close a deal at a certain time. And if you fail to deliver the closing time, then you're ruining the trust between you and your agent and the seller. During this process, you also want to get insurance for the fixer-upper that you are purchasing. This insurance is a little different from a homeowner policy because you are not going to occupy the house, and the insurance also needs to cover construction. During this time window, you also want to look for a contractor, and it would be ideal if the contractor can start work as soon as you close on the purchase. So this brings us to the next step. Find a contractor. In my opinion, the best way to find a good contractor is through referrals. If you have friends and family who used a contractor to do a remodel and had satisfactory results, that would be a good starting point. You can also look for a contractor online on Yelp, HomeAdvisor, or Angie's List and screen them yourself. For tips on how to find a great contractor, check out this video. The next step is renovation, where you are turning a fixer-upper into a dream home. Before the work can start, you have to decide on the scope of work. I recommend checking out comparable sales before you decide on the scope of work. You want to see what kind of layout and finishings are popular in the area. When you are transforming an older home, many times you have to change the layout by removing some walls or even relocating the kitchen. It might be difficult to visualize all the changes in your mind, so I recommend a software that's called Home Designer. I'm not affiliated to them in any way, but I've used it many times, especially when I had to mock up a floor plan for a flip. I'm going to link it below in the description so you can check it out. When you are deciding on the scope of work, you also need to decide on the level of finishings. Are you looking to do a full gut remodel or just painting some cabinets? And are you going for a low-end or high-end look? You can determine a lot of these by checking out the comparable sales and sale prices in the area. If the sale prices are on the low end, you definitely don't want to spend a lot of money on the remodel or use any high-end finishing materials. When you try to determine the finishings on the house, you can browse online like Pinterest, Instagram, or house.com for inspirations. You can also go to your local specialty stores to see what's available and compare the prices. When I was working on my first flip, I was at my local tile shop every weekend for a few weeks to decide on the kitchen backsplash and shower tiles. So the store employees all knew me even before I purchased anything yet. Before you start with any renovations, you want to consider getting permits for the job. Applying for permits may add extra time to your project and cost you a little more, but it gives you a peace of mind. Depending on what work you are doing, you may or may not need a permit. If you are just doing a cosmetic remodel, like mainly painting the cabinets and walls, you don't need a permit. But if you're touching the plumbing and electrical, then you will need a permit. Without a permit, your neighbor could call the city to report you and you would have to stop work. The city could also fine you and your contractor for doing work without permits. During the renovation, you want to check on your job regularly to make sure that everything is done to your satisfaction and the job is on schedule. Especially when you are doing your first couple projects or working with a contractor for the first time. You may think that you communicated an idea clearly, but when it's being executed, it could come out different than what you expected. The last step is the sale. Once the construction is done, you want to get your house into tip-top shape to sell it for top dollar. That requires a deep cleaning, and I usually hire a professional cleaner to do that. You also want to order inspections, at least a property inspection and a termite inspection. If those inspections come back with questions on a certain item, like the roof or the chimney, then you would want to get separate inspections for those as well. I've mentioned before how important it is to get staging and professional photography to give your buyer a good first impression. I believe those services are worth every penny. You also need to fill out a disclosure package for your property, and I recommend to include a list of upgrades with the disclosures. In the list of upgrades, you want to detail any improvements you've done to the house so the buyer can recognize and appreciate your efforts. An important step in the sale process is to set the list price. You do it the same way as how you analyze a deal. You look at comparable sales. By checking out the comps, you get an idea of how much similar houses are selling for in your area. You can also check out the list prices of the comps and compare their final sale prices to the list prices. There are 3 strategies that you can use when setting the list price. You can price it lower than the market price to create competition between the buyers and try to get the price to bid up. You can also price it higher when you are trying to sell a high-end home and have a smaller buyer pool. By anchoring the price a little higher, you may risk your house sitting on the market for a little longer. And of course, you can also price the house just right at market price so you can sell it quick without having to leave money on the table. The pricing strategy that you use really depends on the local market. For example, in the Bay Area, buyers are used to seeing houses being priced slightly below the market price, so they jump on it and bid the price much higher. For more details on how you can prep your house for sale, check out this video. Once the house is sold, whether you make money or not, it's time to celebrate the completion of your first deal. Even if you don't make money from the first deal, you are still making big progress by going through this whole process. If you find this episode helpful, hit the like button below and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.